I feel like it's pretty fair to say that the big chunky ticket items for Transformers are the ones that fans usually remember the most. From the G1 Titans to the big gimmick Prime of the 2000s, to the live action movies with 2009's Second Coming of Prime, big and ratcheted toys seem to resonate well with the entirety of the fandom. I mean, it makes sense, why wouldn't you be appealed by a massive playable bot that stands above the rest of your little guys? With the size decrease of leader class figures, these types of figures are becoming less and less common, with the designers gearing their focus towards engineering and parts count as opposed to size. This is one of the many reasons why the recently added Commander class bracket has been a fandom darling. Well, Titans too, but they're a little over a lot of people's budget, including my own, so I won't be discussing them for now. Ever since Siege Jetfire, every Commander has been one hit after another, except for Motormaster, but even then, he has an excuse for being what he is. In spite of all that, one figure remains as the definitive fan favorite. Well, that is until the recent release of, oh look, it's another G1 Prime, changed people's perception. Even so, I feel like what this figure does in the grand scheme of things needn't to be taken for granted, because I am certain that he will become one of the most highly regarded Transformers figure for future generations to remember. Greetings, people of YouTube. I'm Screaming Star, and today I will be reviewing the Transformers Legacy Evolution Commander Class Armada Universe Optimus Prime. Now, it is worth noting that this figure originally came out in 2023, but was then reissued for 2024, I assume because it sold so damn well, which is the version that I have over here. Furthermore, the toy itself is a modern upgrade to a 2000s era classic. Or is the original Armada Optimus toy a classic? I don't know, seems to be overshadowed by other primes in the era. Either way, this figure looks to improve on the original release and bring it in line with modern Chug sensibilities. And with all that in mind, let us see whether this figure succeeds in that or not. The figure came packaged in vehicle mode, so that will be my starting point in covering this guy. Now, out of the box, the trailer was mistransformed, meaning you can't plug the missiles nor the blaster in, so here's me showing you how to correct that mistransformation. In truck mode, Optimus is a heavy deviation from his original G1 look, and I love it for that. Nowadays, every Optimus design seems to just be one regurgitated G1 flat cap after another, unless it's the Transformers 1 design, since the designers for that version actually understand how to make a unique iteration that stands out from the others. Anywho, going back to the pic at hand, I love the very bulky aesthetic here. The robust cap branching off onto the thick trailer bed section gives him a very rough and tumble vibe, something this version of Optimus seems to be no stranger to. Back to the cab, I love the angular shaping of the nose. It's not quite a long-nosed cap, nor is it a flat one either. It kinda snugly fits in between, just like how this lush silver grille is right in between the headlights, all of which are painted in very durable silver, by the way. The smokestacks are also painted silver and were a separate piece out of the box. I just put them here by default though. I pretty much have no other use for them. The trailer section now is a little messier, but still looks mighty fine. It's chunky and solid while covered in some nice mechanical details, with some lovely gold paint on the sides, of which we'll see more in the other modes. The only problem I have with the trailer bed and with the truck one in general is the fact that the combined mode hands are just chilling right in the open, ready to be pegged in by the trailer. Oh, that was close. Oh yeah, he comes with a trailer. A very nicely done trailer. Again, just like the truck mode, it's very robust and chunky, an absolute pleasure to feel with your hands. Weapon storage is nice, and I love how the flaps fit together here. Below that, there's a missile pod, which when in use together with the blaster, creates the deadliest hunk of brink a Decepticon could ever face. There are struts here to support the trailer while it's not combined with Optimus. Very nice. Other than that, and the very interesting choice of using the treads as trailer wheels, I don't have much to say about this thing. So why don't we just plug it in once again onto Optimus's hitch, and this is what the Commander price calls for. Oh my goodness, I don't know what else to say other than this display looks incredible. The major flaw of the bare truck mode is no longer visible, so this mode is pretty much perfect now. Not only that, even with this trailer, the truck rolls incredibly smoothly thanks to every single wheel on the set being on a pin system. Gotta be honest though, I think one of the main reasons why I love this mode so much is because I know for a fact that the trailer won't be a dead weight in the rest of the play experience. If you know anything about this design, this fact should didn't surprise you. But in the case that you've been living in Lithone this entire time, rest in peace to your entire species by the way, you will be amazed at what this trailer accomplishes later on. But before we get into the main event, let's do some size comparisons to cap off the vehicle mode segment. Here's Armada Optimus and his trailer next to another Unicron Trilogy Autobot, the Legacy United Cybertron Universe Hotshot, the bi-way knockoff of the Studio Series Rise of the Beasts Optimus Prime, Studio Series Revenge of the Fallen Optimus Prime, comparing him to a regular 6-inch scale theory of the Marvel Legends Mr. Knight, and finally, another Legacy remake of a 2000s era Optimus, the Transformers Legacy United Animated Universe Optimus Prime. So the vehicle mode has been a great start. Both Optimus and his trailer feel amazingly solid and are already giving me tons of fun when playing with them, but I'm sure a lot of you would know we've only experienced 1/3 of the whole package. So now let's move on to the next phase of peak, wherein again both the truck and trailer will have a role to play. In robot mode, the buff aesthetic just gets emphasized even further. Again, a substantial departure from his G1 design, at least more so than his contemporaries. All the better for it though, this thing looks tough. Instead of the chest windows, you get the entire front grille in its place, showcasing all that beautiful silver shimmer once more. Despite not having truck windows, you can still open up his chest to reveal a matrix of leadership. What a lovely touch. The matrix itself is removable, but the figure can't hold it in any way or in any mode, so I suggest you ignore that feature like how you ignore negative remarks made towards Transformers 1. It does look quite nice with the entire thing being coated in gold, but other than that, nothing much of note. Which is also kind of how I feel about the arms. Aside from the sick repurposing of the smokestacks into the forearm mounted guns, blast effect compatible by the way. One part of the design that doesn't deviate from G1 though is this fantastic head sculpt. Oh my word, it just looks so good. The sharp sculpting, the clean paint apps. This is by far my favorite Optimus head sculpt in my collection. I would even go as far as to say it's better than... Okay, let's not talk about that just yet. For now, we can talk about the legs, which, just like the head, took at least some inspiration from the G1 original, more so the toy as opposed to the tune. Love the shin detail here as well as the hip skirts present above it. These aren't technically show accurate, but I don't care. With the resplendent gold, these things look, well, resplendent. So the robot mode resulted from that banger truck. Looks fantastic. But what about the trailer? Yeah, that's a base mode, alright. It's not terrible. Definitely better than some other Commander base modes, but it just feels way too small to get any play value out of it. The only thing worthy of note here is that the blaster can be detached and given to Optimus, but that's not something I like to do in this mode. I much prefer the forearm guns being his main weapons. I've seen other fan modes for the trailer in this mode, which I honestly think look a lot better than this official configuration. I'll show one of them right here.
Hey, wait a minute. I came up with that. Me, Anything Gamer 3000. How dare he not credit me? That son of a glitch.
I've never met this man before in my entire life. Anyways, who cares about this thing anyway? Let's get back to the robot. Without a doubt, my favorite thing about it that I haven't mentioned yet is how he feels. What a hefty and solid fella. I can feel this thing alone without the trailer already costing leader class price. Genuinely, he's one of the nicest feeling Transformer in my collection. Every joint feels incredibly stable and the ratchets are just godly. If you want to hear those ratchets in action, you're in luck, because I will now move on to his posability. So the articulation on this mode is really good, except for one part that I think is easily forgivable. The head is in a ball joint and has a really nice range here. Shoulders rotate 360 and they move out on a trigger happy mechanism, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but I guess because of the engineering, it's fine. Also, this torso ligament is on a hinge joint, but yeah, it's not really useful. Bicep swivel and a double jointed elbow, really nice. Wrist swivels, kinda useless, kinda for the transformation, but it's just nice to have. Also, the guns rotate, but that's really not necessary. He does in fact have an app crunch due to the transformation, which can be enhanced if you untap the chest. Yeah, pretty much goes about that far, not too bad. But unfortunately, he does not have a waist swivel. It's because of the other mode that I'll talk about later, and it's not that big of a deal, really. I mean, he has to split like this. Like, how are you gonna fit a waist swivel in there? It's fine, it's not a problem at all. Hip skirts are on hinge joints. The butt flap is also on a hinge joint. With all of them being moved out of the way, the hips can kick forward on some delicious ratchets that far, back that far. His split is not on a ratchet, but it's not a big deal. Thigh swivel. Bit too tight of a ratchet joint here at the knee, but it's still appreciated, if a bit scary. Bit of ankle up and down movement. Hinge joint at the toe. And finally, a fantastic ankle pivot. Aside from the lack of a waist swivel and the somewhat annoying trigger-happy shoulders, this thing is fantastically poseable. Feels amazing too, by the way, if I haven't mentioned that. And just to see how poseable he is, let's make him strike some poses. Despite the lack of a waist swivel, he still slays in the articulation department, even beating figures that technically have more articulation points, such as Legacy Animated Prime. As far as dynamicism goes, I mean, for a figure that demands this kind of price, they better deliver in every aspect. Did they deliver when it comes to his size in this mode though? Well, to find out about that, let's check out some size comparisons. Here's Optimus next to surprisingly big hotshot, Rise of the Beasts Optimus, Bayverse Optimus, Mr. Knight, Animated Optimus, and finally, here they are surrounding the base mode, and yeah, it's definitely a bit too small. God damn, this robot mode is peak! Amazing details, amazing solidity, great articulation. Even just this mode alone is enough to make me fully in love with this package and cement it as being the best Optimus Prime in my collection. But of course, if you remember what I said about the trailer during the vehicle mode segment, you probably either already know or would have guessed that the trailer / base mode can become something more. Something that's special enough to engrave itself and this entire set within the fandom consciousness, most likely for many years to come. Let's stop beating around the bush. Let us actually convert these two components into what I can only describe as awesomeness incarnate. You want to insert the silver grill here onto this hole and be careful not to chip it. The combined mode cannot be described with any single word other than phenomenal. Not often do we get a figure this huge, this playable, this articulated for a Commander price. I think that is beyond worth it. The amount of presence this thing evokes is immense. Every little detail in the robot and trailer culminated in this one marvelous mechanoid. The core robot legs become the arms in such a goofy and charming way, making way for these forearm wheels, and honestly, I f with this design cue a lot. The hands are a bit odd in that the 5mm port doesn't recess when his fingers are opened, but given everything the set had done up to this point, I cannot complain at all. Moving from the core mode legs to the actual combined legs, hoochie mama, these are big, beefy, and I love them for that. They're incredibly blocky, but I think that goes along well with the rest of the aesthetic. Speaking of set aesthetics, I think my only gripe is the chest design. Not many points of interest here. It's basically just the roof of the cab in the truck mode, with a nice sculpted in Autobot logo that could be detached to make way for a certain future figure to combine with him. It's not bad at all, but compared to the awesome grilled chest in the core robot mode, it's a little lacking. His backpack isn't lacking either in terms of size, but honestly I don't mind this one bit. Again, with everything the two components had to achieve, this is an easily ignorable compromise, and if anything, just adds to the beefy aesthetic, which is a positive in this case, IMO. What isn't so positive, sadly, are people's reaction towards the head. Not the sculpt itself, mind you, it's perfectly too inaccurate and looks very good. Though again, I prefer the core robot head. Just personal preferences, I guess. No. What people really dislike are the eyes because they're not the right color. To people who have seen the show, it might be a deal breaker. A stupid deal breaker, not gonna lie. But to someone like me who hasn't seen the show and doesn't mind deviations from the source material anyways, I don't find this to be an issue at all. Nor do I find his solidity to be an issue. The tight ratchets and stable friction joints keep him up real nicely. And what else is nice about the combined mode other than this aesthetics and solidity? The fact that the blaster actually fits really well in this mode now. Can you tell I crammed this part into the script last minute? Okay, seriously though, this looks great. But what I meant to say earlier is that his articulation in this mode is very nice. It's actually even better than the core robot mode, surprisingly. Oh man, does this thing have a fantastic amount of articulation for something this size. Ball joint at the head, just like the core robot mode. Ratcheted hinge joint here, and another ratcheted hinge joint here, so the arms can move outward that far. Also, I think the instruction tells you to position the shoulders straight like this, but I like to click them up just one ratcheted notch. I don't know, just looks more dynamic this way. Ratcheted shoulder rotation that goes 360 degrees. Bicep swivel, and the annoying ratcheted elbows that were previously the knees in the core robot mode. Of all the ratchet joints, these ones are pretty annoying. Wrist swivels and opening fingers, but again, the 5mm port doesn't recess, which is fine by me. Another point of contention that people have against this figure is that the waist swivel is below the hip skirts. And for me personally, again, because of the engineering, I understand why this is, and it's never really bothered me that much. So I'm sorry if you dislike this, but I'm totally fine with it. Double hinge joints at the front skirt, by the way, and a swivel at the middle. Side skirts are also on hinge joints, as well as the butt flap, yippee. Fantastic ratchets at the hips that move forward that far, back about that far. He can do the splits, which aren't on ratchets, but I don't really mind it. It holds together enough for now. Handling this is actually kind of a workout. Thigh swivel and a very hard ratchet at his knees. Not as annoying as the elbows, these are fine. These calf guns are on hinge joints, and I don't really see the use for them other than being the struts for the trailer mode, so I just kind of leave them there. Finally, for the feet, you get a bit of toe articulation, a little bit of heel movement, and of course, a fantastic ankle pivot. Oh, what a posable fella for being something this big. And because he is so posable for the first time in one of my videos, I will do another Strike a Pose segment. For something this big, his posing was absolutely amazing. I mean, when was the last time you saw a combined mode Optimus that was this big, this posable, and this stable? Jet Powered Prime doesn't count, he's not as big and can't hold together very well. To truly see the gargantuan stature this figure possesses, let's do one final size comparison segment and then I'll wrap up this exhausting review. Here is Armada Optimus in his combined mode next to Hotshot, Rise of the Beasts Optimus, Jet Powered Prime, a much better combiner Optimus in every aspect. Well, at least in my opinion, Mr. Knight. And finally, Animated Optimus Prime. The Optimus that effectively started the 2000s versus the Optimus that effectively ended the 2000s. Both fantastic designs, both really good figures, although of course I do prefer this one. And that has been my review for the Transformers Legacy Evolution Commander Class Armada Universe Optimus Prime. In short, this whole package is incredible. Just the amount of play value that you get from each and every mode here, and even with the way of getting in between each mode, it's absolutely immense. I have never come across a release that left me in this much awe. Within the admittedly short collecting journey I've had so far, I get it now. I get why this figure has gained such endearment within the Transformers community. It's a release that reminds people of the good old times when budgets were through the roof and they could include whatever gimmick they want on a given toy, yet it also modernizes it and brings it in line with what collectors these days are looking for. It is a figure filled with designer passion, a passion to combine every aspect that makes up a good Transformer figure into one amazing package that is fully worth the price of admission. To that I say, my hats off to you, designer Shogo Hasui. You have successfully created a figure that I'm sure will become a future classic. With all that being said, I would like to say thank you to everyone who watched this video. If you have enjoyed it, leave a like, got something to say, leave a comment, and if you like my channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Farewell, my friends. I will hopefully see you all next time. My next video won't be a review, but I feel like you're going to see him again for some reason. Wait a minute, what's he doing here? And what's she doing here?